welcome back to another episode of Mind Over Masculinity, the podcast where we get to real about men's mental health, emotional resilience, and today, a topic that could literally save lives: navigating the healthcare systems without losing your mind, your dignity, and your hope. Now, dear listeners, I know that a lot of you listening might feel like health is something that you will deal with later. Or maybe you have already found yourself caught up in uh, what today's guest calls the medical vortex. That whirlwind of tests, prescriptions, referrals, and more questions than answers, right? So, our guest today is Brian. So, welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So, Brian, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all the listeners. Dear listeners, let me tell you, Brian, he got stories, wisdom, and tools that could change the way you look at your health forever. So, at 81 years young, he has lived a life most of us would need three lifetimes to experience. Yes, exactly. So, so there is like advertising executive, political consultant, federal employee, army officer, bill collector. Yes, we are going there. Entrepreneur, and uh, now a first-time author with a premier publisher sharing hundreds of techniques that he's picked up from the trenches of life. Yes, now I guess you have understood why I was saying like 81 years young, and he has lived most of us that could, need three lifetimes to experience that. So, yes, and Brian's new book is all about life empowerment, practical tools for dealing with the distressing and also people that we all encounter. And today we are diving into one of those uh, predicaments that so many men actually face, like getting stuck in the healthcare system. So I'll not take much of your time, dear listeners. I'll quickly get into the discussion with one and only Brian. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely. So Brian, to start with, what do you mean when you talk about medical vortex? Uh, what does that look like for any average guy?
Sure. And again, it's an honor to be on your highly acclaimed show. It's, I think, one of the few on the subject of
Hmm.
men's rights and men's health. I don't see many shows out there on that. So I
Yeah.
certainly applaud you for that.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
the, the longest chapter in my book deals with how to deal with doctors. I have
Okay.
doctors, dentists, lawyers, plumbers, bad drivers, rude people, but the longest chapter is dealing with doctors, and I have more experience by far than most.
Mhm.
Um, I like to say, and it's based on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of appointments, that the doctors are typically the worst at what they should be the best at,
Mm.
and that is the diagnosis. Um, Lawyers need a lot of analytical thinking to get through law school.
Mm.
Doctors, essentially, of course, you have to be very intelligent and very hardworking, but you need to be able to memorize.
Yeah.
And doctors, of course, don't take any classes in communication. Only a
Mhm.
third of them have a course in nutrition, and and of course, you have to be assertive when you're dealing with a doctor because they are the doctor.
Yeah.
So, I do talk about the medical vortex, and that's because there are a lot of, negative, positive a lot of positive tests that turn out to be wrong, a bunch of negative tests that turn out to be wrong.
Mm.
Oftentimes you get caught in the medical vortex. They want you to have a lot of testing, and then you have more testing and more testing and more testing, but I like to remind people, my readers, that the doctors advise, but we're in charge of our own health.
Hmm. Exactly. So, do you remember the first time you felt yourself getting pulled into that system?
Yes, only too well. I've had
Hmm?
6 knee operations,
Okay.
and the first maybe 2 or 3 were necessary, but the 3rd one was an operation that I didn't really need whatsoever. In fact, I had a very bad side effect that I'm still carrying around. Orthopedic surgeons, they never tell you in advance what could go wrong, what are the
Hmm.
safety issues, and so forth. And I ended up having 2 more operations to fix the
Oh,
fix and hundreds of appointments with orthopedic surgeons.
yeah. Okay. Hmm. So, I mean, that spiral can feel endless. Like one appointment leads to another, and before you know it, your whole life revolves around your health issues instead of the solutions. So, what do you think about this?
One thing I found you can do is
Hmm.
when you get caught in the medical vortex, you want to avoid it, of course. But
Hmm.
if you get stuck in it, and for example, your doctor has written an order for physical therapy and it never comes through,
Hmm.
or say you're a caregiver uh, for a patient and they're having problems.
Hmm.
One thing you can do that it's very helpful, and that is to find a patient advocate. That's
Hmm.
somebody who does troubleshooting for you, deals with the
Hmm.
doctors, deals with the insurance companies, and are very helpful. I spent about a week getting a patient advocate from my older sister. She
Hmm.
just caught the medical vortex, and the site I found, and I have nothing to do with them, but I found they're very good, is called Solus, and you can find patient advocates, I think, around the world through that very good website.
Oh. Hmm. So, and also, like, why do you think uh, men in particular struggle to navigate the healthcare system? Is it pride, fear, confusion, or something else?
I think so. Men have a tendency to hold their feelings in and not let them out. Men don't like to go to the doctors. They go to the doctors far less uh,
Mhm.
than women do. And at least in the United States, it's kind of the ultimate inequality. Women live 5 years longer than men do on the average, and just hold in their feelings. And I think it's in some cases detrimental to their health.
Okay. Hmm. And like, uh, how can men start shifting that mindset without feeling like they are just giving up the control?
It's it's easier said than done, but
Hmm.
I think one of the best things we can do is taking time to make friends, but also to believe in ourselves
Okay.
and not carry around a slight. A lot of
Hmm.
people get insulted by rude people, and they have a tendency to carry around a slight, which is not good for their mental health. I have lots of techniques to push back when an individual is in an unavoidable confrontation.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, like you also worn a lot of hats in your life, like I was mentioning. So, how have those experiences actually shaped the way that you approach self-advocacy in the medical situations?
Well, thanks for asking. I've learned the hard way,
Hmm.
the long hard way, as most people have. I've had a rough
mm,
and tumble life. I've had
mm,
many, many different jobs and a whole lot of different occupations, and it's through essentially the hard times I slowly learned the techniques to protect your mental health and build strong confidence in yourself.
okay. 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 So, I mean, if you can share one of the most powerful tools or maybe the techniques from your book that helps men advocate for themselves in those high stress doctor visits.
It's hard to be assertive with doctors because they are the doctors, but,
Yeah.
um, you need to have your questions prepared in advance and remember, uh, you're in charge. In terms of mental health and unavoidable confrontations, the technique that I've found that I've used that it's very
Mm,
helpful to maintain strong mental health and not carrying around a
mm,
slight is when you're having a confrontation, and it's when I see this now, it sounds obvious, but it's hard to remember in the
mm,
middle of a dispute. And that is, don't make it about yourself. When you're
mm,
talking about yourself, when you say, I feel this, or I do something else, you're being defensive. So you want to make it about the other person. So they're being defensive. You may even have to say, for example, I'm not the issue here. You're the
mm.
issue. I'm talking about
Wow.
rude customer service, people who
Mm,
are mean, people who are insulting, people who don't wanna be cordial. You have to leave the ball back in their court. Let them talk about
mm.
themselves. You're talking about yourself. You're being defensive. Never complain, never explain. Your friends don't need it. Your enemies consider it a sign of weakness.
Yeah. Ah, amazing. And I love that turning those yes doctor things moments into conversations where we actually partner in our own care. So, yeah. And also, like a lot of guys I know, like, including one of my friend at times, just take the first diagnosis as gospel. And so why you think like it is important to challenge that as well?
Because doctors often I could recount the times, many, many times they've gotten diagnosis wrong. I saw
Mm,
one gastrologist, and he gave me
mm,
an hour and a half of test and asked about my
mm,
family background and this and that, and finally said, "Well, you have irritable bowel syndrome." Well, it turned out I had a hernia, and he's never even never even gave me a physical for that part of my body. I had a problem,
mm,
with, vertigo once. It's a problem with your balance. I went to the hospital and they said, "Well, it could be your brain, it could be your eyes, it could be your ears. You need to do a whole bunch of tests." Well, guess what? My youngest daughter is a physician's assistant, and she told me about the Epley maneuver. It's a maneuver you can do at home on the bed. Um, and 15 minutes, I never had vertigo again. And I
mm.
never did get a diagnosis from the doctors on this vertigo.
Okay. So, like, how do you suggest that men go about seeking a second option without feeling like they are being difficult or maybe disrespectful?
Well, you could, of course, see another doctor in the office, just make another appointment. As you say, don't take diagnosis as gospel. One technique I learned, and I learned it myself, when getting an MRI or a C scan, uh, because some radiologists are highly trained and some of them have read very few films. So what
Mm,
you want to ask for in the hospital or the clinic or whatever is a double reading by the radiologist. And that usually eliminates any false negatives or any false positives.
Okay. Mm, got it. So, like, that's really gold. I mean, it's about respecting yourself enough to explore the options. So, and you have seen the inside of a lot of different systems, like the government, military, business. So, what according to you are some of the common traps that men fall into when dealing with bureaucracy, whether it's a healthcare or maybe something else?
It's a favorite subject of mine, trying to understand the system. And I did basic in the Army, I enlisted in the Army at the height of the Vietnam War. I did basic training, AIT,
Mm.
OCS, and
Okay.
I did things pretty much my own way, and you can imagine I got a
Mm.
whole lot of attention, a whole lot of attention. But the Army taught me, the Army is, they like to say, nobody overcomplicates like the US Army, and they're proud of it. But
Mm.
what I learned was, rather than standing outside of the system and throwing rocks at the system, what an individual needs to do is to learn how the system works and use the system for their own advantage. And wherever you go, whether it's government or the military or wherever, there's always a system. Learn the system, make it work for you,
Yeah.
flow with the flow.
True. Exactly. Yeah. And what's the one mindset shift that helps men avoid these traps and stay focused on the solutions?
Uh, say again, please.
So I'm saying, like, what according to you is the one mindset shifts that actually helps men avoid this kind of traps?
Well, some people are not worth being drawn into a confrontation for. So it's like
Mm.
the ratchet effect, one of the
Uh-huh.
traits of effective people. When do
Mm.
you get to a point of where the point of diminishing returns, you just want to change directions.
Mm.
So you get in a very heated confrontation. There's nothing to be gained for it. Just step back. You can always say you're on the phone. I'll be off the line now, and then hang up.
Mm. Ah, lovely. So, I mean, uh, that sense of getting shuffled around like a number. So, yeah. And also, like, if a guy who is listening today feels like he's already caught in the medical vortex, then what's the first step you would recommend that he should take right now to start reclaiming his power?
Try to find a patient's advocate. There are such things. They advocate with you, with the healthcare providers, with the doctors, with the insurance companies. Um, Once you get caught in it, it's hard to get out of it. But sometimes you don't need to take the test. If somebody offers you a test, you have a whole series of questions you want to ask. How soon will I get the results? How
Mm.
accurate are the results? Will I need any more tests? How long will I have these symptoms? How much should I be concerned?
Okay. And like what, and also, like, if you can give one piece of advice that you wish you could have given yourself at the start of your own health journey, what that would be?
Question doctors. Don't
Meh.
think that they know best,
Mm.
because sometimes they don't. As I say, I found my own case, they're the worst at what they should be the best at, uh, giving a diagnosis. So question, 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 be assertive in all those meetings with
Mm.
doctors. Don't submit to test if you don't feel like it. Um, and do your research before you go to the doctor and have your questions ready.
True. Wow. Lovely. Great. So, Brian, this is really, really an absolutely incredible one. And you have shared hard-earned wisdom that I know like is going to hit home for a lot of guys out there and who feel like they're just surviving the healthcare system instead of thriving in their own lives. So, that's amazing. And for everyone who is listening, if this conversation lit a fire inside you, then and if it made you think twice about how you show up for yourself, then grab Brian's book. It's packed with the tools and the techniques that will help you face not just the healthcare system but life's tough situations head on. So, Brian, like if someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
Pardon me?
If someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
Oh, um, I have a website. Does that
Mm.
work?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. They're all confusing. Thanks for this opportunity. It's B like Brian, author like writer, H like Hampton at gmail.com. So AUTHORH at gmail.com. Could I, before we part, could I say the name of my book?
Yes, yes, please.
Thank you very much. It
Yeah.
was 5 years in the making, and I found that writing the book was about 5% of getting it published. I didn't get a premier publisher. It's called It's a Great Life If You Don't Weaken, How to Deal with the Ups and Downs in Life and the Jerks in Between.
Hmm.
It's on Amazon and else where books are available.
Wow. Amazing, amazing, lovely. Thank you so much for sharing this, and I'll also put into the show notes for your easy reference, dear listeners. And um, as always, if this episode has helped you, share it with a brother, friend, or anyone who needs to hear it. And let's change the way men approach health, mind, body, and the soul. So until next time, this is your host Avik reminding you, your health is your power. So claim it. And stay strong, stay sharp, and lead with the heart. And catch you soon on another episode of Mind Over Masculinity. Till then, thank you so much.